names him and tells him the truth of himself. This is my Son, the beloved, with whom I am well pleased. Who is Jesus? The Son, the beloved, the one with whom heaven is well pleased. But then we got into a boat with the disciples. And with the disciples, we sailed out into the middle of the storms of life with waves and wind, with the crashing around us, thunder trying to make us afraid, to draw our attention. And with the disciples there in the storms of life, we were afraid, watching Jesus walk through the middle of the storm, rising and falling as he climbed over the waves that threaten us, walking there through the middle of what scares us. And we heard his invitation there in the midst of the storm. Come with me. Step out of the boat. Take a step in faith. Who is this Jesus who walks through the middle of what scares us and then invites us to something that makes no sense? Boats are lovely things when you're out in the middle of the lake. They are what provide us any sense of security and keep us safe. Boats are what's going to get us back into shore. But Jesus invites us to step out of what has been making us feel safe and has promised to get us back home. Who is this Jesus who walks through the storm and says, come on, let's go? Who is this Jesus? Then we heard him preach. We listened in on the mountain as we heard him name us salt for the world. Salt, which, its real power of salt is to intensify others' flavors, to make them more of who they really are. And Jesus names us salt for the world. He tells us we are light. And he calls us the lovers of enemies. Who is this Jesus? Who would ask such a thing from us? This makes no sense. I mean, lovers of friends, sure. On a good day, I can manage that. Sort of reward our supporters, sure. That makes sense. Be nice to those who are nice to me on my really good days, yes. But love my enemies? Love those who are actively trying to do harm to me? Who is this Jesus who would ask something like that of us? Who is this Jesus? So the day started as normal as every other day. Walking along with Jesus, listening, learning, talking about what the world is like and how God's mercy and God's mission intersected. Until, walking along, Jesus called over to Peter and said, Peter, James, John, come with me. He said, let's go there, up that mountain. And they said, what about the others? No, just us. Let's go up the mountain. Now, I don't understand why they went. They really should have known better. These are good Jewish boys. These are folks who are sort of steeped in the history of Israel and God's relationship with God's people. They should have known that mountaintops are dangerous places. Think about it. With Moses, God took over the top of the mountain for 40 days with a cloud and with fire. And then invited Moses to come up there so that God could talk to him about what it means to be God's people. Elijah huddling in a cave on the mountain as the earthquakes and dashing rocks and fires gathered around, listening and waiting for the still small voice that would invite him to listen and respond to God. For heaven's sakes, it was on a mountaintop that Moses caught just a glimpse, a fleeting glimpse of God's backside, and just that was enough to make his face glow for the rest of his life. Mountaintops are dangerous places. They really should have known better. But no, there it was on the mountaintop when it happened. Jesus is transfigured, not transformed, not changed, but somehow who Jesus really is shows for a moment. His face starts to glow, shine. His clothes become like light. Moses and Elijah, those fellow denizens of dangerous mountaintops, gather to talk with him. And Peter starts looking for something to say, not knowing that there are some times we should just sit in silence. When the bright cloud shows up, that's the one that knocks him down. Face first on the ground, Peter, James, and John are terrified. Who is this Jesus? Jesus is the one who dresses in lightning. Who is this Jesus? He's the one in whom humanity and God coexist, 200% real. Who is this Jesus? He's the one who gathers up all the promises and all of the experiences of God with God's people and makes them true. Who is this Jesus? He's the one who comes to us when we have been knocked down by life, by unexpected, by things that are beyond us, when we are afraid and we are terrified and we are at our least just stammering out for something to say to fill the moment. Jesus is the one who comes, takes us by the shoulders, stands us up, and says, "Do not be afraid." Who is this Jesus? The one who stands us up and says, "Let's go down the mountain. Let's go down where real life is. Let's not just stay here on Sunday, but let's go to Tuesday morning. Let's go to work. Let's go in those roundabouts. Who is Jesus? He's the one that invites us down onto the plains where we are our real selves, where we can see who we really are and who we're not, where we can be honest about what we do and what we don't do. He says, let's go down there where the storms are, where those voices want us afraid so they can control us, where so many things want our allegiance and want us to follow. Let's go down where we live and where we work, where we are our true selves, and there, let's see. Who is Jesus? He's the one who says, "Come on. Let's go. Let's take a step. Let's go out into real life." Who is Jesus? He's the one who comes when we are afraid, stands us up, It says, let's go. Who is Jesus? He's the one who is saying to you today, you are my son. You are my daughter. You are my beloved. With you I am well pleased. And now come on. Let's go. Let's go down the mountain. Let's go out and live life together. Let's go.